We are a new clinical stage company focused on the use of statins as a treatment for intermediate AMD. And hopefully, yeah, that advances slide. People in this room know that AMD is a huge problem. It affects more patients than diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma combined, and it's only expected to get worse as the population ages. I think it's kind of fun to put this in perspective by pointing out that when the Red Sox sell out a home game and they fill the stands with a patient population representative, all ages, genders, races, it's likely that 1,000 of those people have AMD at some stage. But on senior night, the odds are that about 5,000 of those people have AMD. So it's truly a staggering disease stage. This breaks out the 27 million people with AMD in the United States and Europe by disease stage, going from early AMD at the top to the two types of advanced AMD at the bottom. And the point is that while the lower right-hand corner, the anti-VEGF treatments have revolutionized what we can do for CMV, there is nothing, pretty much, for the remaining 85%, and this is the problem that we're attacking. The company is based on a clinical trial that was conducted at Mass Eye and Ear here at Harvard, and also the University of Crete in Greece. And this study showed dramatic efficacy for the use of atorvastatin, which is generic Lipitor, in intermediate AMD patients, where intermediate is defined as lots of confluent soft drusen with no evidence whatsoever of either CNV or GA. And in this patient population, 40% of them showed essentially complete resolution of their drusen, and there was with no conversion to CNV or GA after the resolution of the drusen. And there was about more than 5-letter gain in vision for the responders versus the non-responders. And as I say, there was no conversion to CNV or GA, despite the fact there would have been a likely 15% conversion rate among this population. So these are pretty dramatic results that form the basis of the company. And this is to wake up the retina specialists in the crowd. These are the fundus photographs and OCT images of an example responder from this study. At baseline, you can see just tons of confluent drusen, and you can see that after 12 months of treatment with atorvastatin, that there's almost essentially no drusen left, complete disappearance, and the patient has gained from 2030 to 2020, which is about 9 letters of vision gain. And again, let me say that this is typical of 40% of the patients that were in the study, with none of them converting to CNV or GA. So the pathology of early AMD is characterized by the accumulation of cholesterol, which eventually builds up to form drusen between the RPE and the Bruch's membrane. And the parallels between cardiovascular disease and AMD are so strong that it was suspected that a cholesterol-lowering agent, such as a statin, should be effective in removing the drusen the same way that it removes plaque in atherosclerosis. And apparently it does. However, not all statins are equivalent. Based on in vitro, I should say, animal and human studies, it's shown that lipophilic, high-potency statins are going to be the most effective for AMD, and our preferred candidate is atorvastatin at 80 milligrams, which is a high dose, but a common dose with a fairly low risk profile. So our immediate target is going to be what's circled here. These are the people who are newly converted to CNV in one eye, with the fellow eye still having only intermediate AMD. This is a highly motivated population to be proactive for treatment with very few treatment options, and we estimate this to be about a $200 million per year market. Eventually, of course, we'll expand to the much larger market of people with bilateral intermediate AMD, and we believe this is about a $4 billion per year market. We intend to market statins, atorvastatin, as a branded generic with the proposed trade name of Ocustatin. Now, we will sell Ocustatin directly to ophthalmologists on a buy and bill basis. Those ophthalmologists will in turn dispense directly to their patients, retaining the margin that would normally go to a pharmacist. This is the familiar practice for treatment of late-stage AMD CNV patients with anti-VEGF therapy. Now, from a business perspective, this combines a strong benefit for the patient with an attractive financial inducement for the dispensing ophthalmologist, and from the standpoint of payers, it represents the potential for tremendous savings with early, cheap intervention than as opposed to using late-stage expensive anti-VEGF therapy. Here are a couple of names that are advisors for us that are probably familiar to people in this room. Joan Miller, who was mentioned once before as an advisor for ONL, is chair and chief of ophthalmology at Mass Eye and Ear. And Tom Holman, who some of you may know, was instrumental in the management of the development of several drugs in his years at Alcon and Allergan. So the next step for us is a phase 2-3 clinical trial, which will involve at least 200 patients and last 2 years. This will be a placebo-controlled, double-blinded trial where the population will be randomized 1-to-1 at baseline to either 80 milligrams of atorvastatin daily or to an identical placebo. These people will be followed with quarterly monitoring for a 2-year minimum, and the primary endpoint will be a reduction of progression to late-stage AMD, either CNV or GA. Now, consistent with our initial commercial focus, the primary inclusion criteria is going to be that the patients will have CNV in one eye and intermediate AMD in the fellow eye. I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the chance to introduce you to a brand new company. It was incorporated on August the 2nd, so I can guarantee that nobody's ever heard of it before. And I look forward to chatting with anybody that'd like to learn more.